He won't sit up here.
Tell him I don't stink. I do take a bath there once in a while. Shut up, Josh. Nobody asked you. Thank you. Ain't that what that flower was behind Food City? What flower? In Middlesboro.
No, I was talking about flowers that grass.
Poor fella. Poor fella. Just lost his life.
Where's that?
Okay.
36 minutes ago. 36 minutes ago.
I was cleaning the desks on my phone.
And I turned on 43, I hit the 59.
I can't get my bean in my nostrils. I think it's on my hands no more.
Yeah, over. You're sitting on that little back, watching the home.
There's an accident in Cleveland County.
Man.
They're gone.
All right. I got some reading for somebody tonight. Let's see here. We'll give Roger Gibbons Psalm chapter 50, verse 14 and 15. Yeah. We'll give Jennifer Psalm 66, 13 and 14. We'll give Karen Psalms 37, 5. And Ginger Proverbs 16, 3. Let's see if I got any others. Hold them there for a moment. What did we cover last week? Huh? What keeps you up at night? Okay. What else?
The what ifs not fixing anything.
The what ifs are not fixing anything. We taught on a particular word though. There was a thought. How much thinking did you do this week?
You gotta help something to think with, don't you?
Oh, I'm just asking how much thinking you did.
Also thought process.
Huh?
Thought process.
The thought processes. Yes. Yes. Anything else we covered last week?
39
Thought processes. 39. Did you look any of them up? Did you look any of them up? If you do, you'll think about them. If you do, you'll think about them.
Oh, well, they are.
So it's just to prepare. If you look them up, you will. You'll think about them. 39 thought processes. Different thought processes. I'm going to give you a word first. We're going to look at a contrast tonight of something we're going to study, but I'm going to give you a word first. Just tell me what comes to your mind. As soon as you see this word, what comes to your mind? We're not on the Wheel of Fortune.
Promise.
Hey, what?
Promise.
Okay, I got promise. A wedding. Where? Who's getting married?
Who you get married to? You're speaking off the young.
Any other word that comes to mind? Something that comes to mind when you just look and see this word. What comes to mind?
Commitment, promise.
Okay. I got commitment, promise. Now I pulled. Do what?
But I got commitment on another one on that.
Well, like I said, we're not on the Wheel of Fortune, so I was waiting on somebody to say A-I-O-U. We're missing a couple letters for that, but we're starting there. So this is the first one. Now, I pulled, just to get some groundwork here for a moment, I pulled some sample. Now, this is some of the top popular vowels that's being used right now. Now, just prepare for this. Now, this is an example. I want to make you smile whenever you're sad. carry you around when your arthritis is bad. All I want to do is grow old with you. I'll get your medicine when your tummy aches and build you a fire if the furnace breaks. Oh, it could be so nice growing old with you. I'll miss you, kiss you, and give you my coat when you're cold. Need you, feed you, and even let you hold the remote control. So let me do the dishes in our kitchen sink, put you to bed when you've had too much to drink. Oh, I could be the man or woman who grows old with you. I want to grow old with you. That's a sample set of things. But I thought, people, write these vows. Then it goes further. Here's one. I promise to be worth it. Worth the time, worth the trip, worth the energy, worth the embarrassment, worth your love. I promise that you will always count, you'll always come first, and of course, if you don't, for whatever reason, I'll buy you some shoes. From the moment you entered my world, you have filled it with life, color, and energy like never before, like a strawberry slushie in a mud puddle, or a cupcake in a salad. You are my cupcake, Claire, and I promise to devote my life to you. Here's one more. The groom says, I promise to love, cherish, and care for you in sickness and in health, unless the reason for your illness is the fact that you have just seen your latest credit card bill and realized just how much you spent last month. The bride, I promise to love, cherish, and care for you in sickness and in health, unless it is 3 a.m. and the reason for your illness is alcohol-induced, and the care involves sitting with you beside the toilet bowl with a wet cloth. Now, these are specific vows that comes through, and you most commonly in your mind obviously go on the thought thinking that, when you go to a wedding, that's the most common thought that comes to mind, is that when you go to a wedding, that you hear the bride and the groom say their vows. Now, how many people you think write their own? They're all customizing it now. They all got to have their own whatever. I mean, all of them's writing their own vows. Roger, did you write your vows?
No.
Did you even say any?
No.
And I do.
This was in Jellicoe at the courthouse, so I'm just asking if you even said any vows.
I said I do.
I don't know if they required it on a Saturday. Was it a Saturday?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if they required it.
Preacher always asks, do you love or
Yeah.
It's a sickness,
Yeah.
death, and the death
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
You say yes.
Okay. Anybody else? Did anybody else write vows? Did y'all custom write vows? No? No? Anybody? Okay. So if you just take this 1 3-letter simple word, I'm going to start with it for just a moment. But if you look at it, it actually has a little bit different turn and meaning to the word vow than what the world that we're in right now looks at when it looks at this very specific word. A solemn promise made to God. That's the very first thing it tells you if you look this word up. In a dictionary, is a solemn promise made to God. The Roman generals, when they went to war, sometimes made a vow that they would build a temple to some favorite deity if he would give them victory. A vow is a promise of something to be given or done hereafter. And also a solemn promise, as the vows of unchangeable love and fidelity in a moral and religious sense. Vows are promises to God as they appeal to God to witness their sincerity, and the violation of them is a most horrendous offense. So my first question is, when you say your vows in a marriage, who are you saying it to? Okay. Because the vows that I read you all says, I promise to be worth the time, the trip, the energy, and the embarrassment. And this other one said, I'll carry you around when your arthritis is bad and build you a fire when the heat pump's broke. Now that vow was written and read, personalized, read to the opposing party, the male to the female and the bride to the groom, so on and so forth. But that is not the definition of a vow. We do not vow to people. If we look at it as a whole, we find pretty quick that if I've got a book at home that's got a lot of different things in it. One of the template stuff it has in there is for these people that conduct weddings, and it's got this format in there, and it had a sample line of a traditional normal vow. This is what the traditional normal vow is that so they'll say, you repeat this after me. And then they'll say, I, so and so, take thee, so and so, to be my wedded husband or wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer or poor, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish till death do us part. Okay? If I'm saying this vow to the wife and everybody else in the building or yard or wherever you've got them hanging off the cliff, but if you are saying this line as a vow, okay, who are we saying that to? We're making this pronunciation that we're vowing. Who are we vowing to?
You found it to God.
Okay.
You're in it. You did it to your man and wife.
Okay. But you think about that now,
And it
because
says us.
we go back to a second. A promise, a vow is a promise made to God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this portion of the vow, when I looked at this, is really worded and said, if you read it, it is you, as I want to use the word pledge, but you're pledging before all of your people at the wedding, the party, as we'll call it, and everybody else that's at the wedding, before you and God alone, that God instituted marriage. Okay, let's start there. God instituted marriage, right? So he set this thing up from the beginning. Now, just think about this for a minute. He set this thing up from the beginning, and that he says that when man and woman become what? One flesh. Okay. So if we're vowing to God. Okay. So we start there by example. So I went on this little wild rabbit run the other day, and I just started looking for vows, examples in the Bible. And that's when it gets really interesting, is when we look at some vows in the Bible, because not only are there guaranteed proof in the Bible about a vow, but not keeping it's even worse when we get in there. First example I'll give you is in Genesis 28. Jacob made a vow saying, if God be with me and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall the Lord be my God, and this stone which I have set for a pillar shall be God's house. And of all that thou shalt give me, I will surely give the 10th unto thee. Oh, so now it's, if you give this to me, what I'm asking for, if you give this to me, then I'm going to give you a 10th of everything that you give me. So he makes this on the way to the house of Laban, and he walked all the way from where present day Israel is now and to where Iraq is now. And this is how bad in trouble he was. He lost his house. His life was in danger. His brother threatened to kill him at this part in the book of Genesis. And normally you'll find that people won't make a vow until they're backed in a corner and they're in really big trouble. When the crisis mode hits and they've got nowhere to turn is when they're ready to make a vow. So Jacob determined that his survival was at stake because he needs food and water. How could he keep himself protected from all the dangers that he faced? So he vows to God that if God will get him where he is going and back, that he would give him a 10th of everything he owned. Now, here's what's interesting. Does anybody know the rest of this? The vow he made to God. Anybody know what happened after that? The Bible records later in Genesis, within a couple chapters, that not only was he protected, everything he asked for was promised. He served his uncle Laban for 21 years. And then, a little bit later on, he spoke to Jacob again, and he said this in Genesis 31. In a dream, the angel of God in a dream said, Jacob, and I said, here I am. He said, lift up now thine eyes and see all the rams which leap upon the cattle are ring-straked, speckled, and gristled. For I have seen all that Laban doeth unto thee. I am the God of Bethel, where thou anointest the pillar, and where thou vowedest a vow unto me. Now arise, get thee out from this land, and return unto the land of thy kindred. So In other words, God showed Jacob in this very part everything that he had been given. And then God brought him back and reminded him of the vow that he made. I don't know if Jacob forgot about it, if he displaced it and put it in the back of his mind, but he made a vow 21 years ago with God. Now, the first question I'm going to ask is, does God ever forget anything? Oh, my. He ain't forgetting nothing. So then,
Well, he forgets your sin.
Well,
it don't say that.
Pardon it. He can for the well.
Yeah. It says he remembers it no more. It didn't say he forgot it. He just don't. He just remembers
We
it.
always remember.
We did.
Yeah.
Real good. But a vow to God, 21 years later, he brings up to Jacob and says, now this is what all you've got, and brings it back up. That's an example right there of the vow, okay? Then the next one I'll give you is this one. Absalom, which was King David's son, made a vow. And after 40 years, Absalom said unto the king, I pray thee, let me go and pay my vow, which I have vowed unto the Lord in Hebron. For thy servant vowed a vow while I abode in Geshur in Syria, saying, if the Lord shall bring me again indeed to Jerusalem, then I will serve the Lord. Well, here's the interesting part of fulfilling your part of the vow to God and why it is critical. In this part, he broke it. He broke it. And his life, after doing that, was restored as a result of the vow. But guess what happened after he broke the vow he made with God? Anybody know this story in 2 Samuel? So in 2 Samuel, he made a vow with God. 40 years later, he asks to be able to go back and pay his vow. You know what God did because he broke it, didn't keep his vow? God took his life. If you read in 2 Samuel 15, God took Absalom's life because he did not keep the vow that he made with God. All right? Now, all right, Roger, give us Psalms 50, verse 14 and 15. Give us that.
Offer unto God thanksgiving, and pay thy vows unto the Most High, and call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me.
One thing that I always think about when he says, pay thy vows unto the Most High. First of all, everything you vow to God, he don't forget. He has not forgot the vows that you've made to him. Next, who had Psalm 66? Okay, what's that one say?
I will go into thy house with burnt offerings. I will pay thee my vows, which my lips have uttered, and my mouth hath spoken when I was in trouble.
There we have David teaching about going in and paying the vows. The psalmist knew that when God's people are in trouble, that making and fulfilling a vow was the only way out. If you look at it, David himself made a vow because he was in trouble, and the Lord got him out of it. After he made a vow with God, the Lord got him out of it. And a lot of people, when they're put in a corner and they're in a critical crisis or a crunch moment, as I call it, and they get into that situation of a true breakdown, that's when they go to God and say, if you'll get me out of this, if you get me out of this jail cell, if you get me out of this court case, if you keep me from losing my job, I'll do this. Pretty common, ain't it? It's pretty typical stuff, ain't it? Here's the problem. Everybody don't do that. They don't meet up their agreement with God of what they vowed for after God's made his way and provision, and he's not forgot it. Very interesting that the vows that are made. So we know that God instituted marriage. But God once instituted the marriage, and we make a vow unto God that he don't forget that he knows our actual responsibility and where that lies. Okay. Now, I'll give you some more interesting examples for a moment on this vow situation. In Ecclesiastes 5, he tells that when thou vowest a vow unto God, defer not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fools. Pay that which thou hast vowed. Better is it that thou shouldest not vow than that thou shouldest vow and not pay. And in Numbers 30, when they were making their vows, he told them, if a man vow a vow unto the Lord, or swear an oath to bind his soul with a bond, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceedeth out of his mouth. If you make a promise, or let's back up, if you make a bargain with God to get you out of something, or you ask God to do something in movement for you to pay back, you better do it. First thing the word commands is that we are to pay it forward. Everybody go through the drive-through and they get up to the window and they say, "Oh, the car in front of you's done paid." You had that happen. Karen won't because they run out of pennies. But then think about that. Have y'all been in drive-through and that happen? I've had it a few times. It's happened. Pull up. How many people do you think when somebody's paid their meal will pay for the next one before we're checking to see what the amount is?
I do, and
Do you ask them what the total is? No. How many people do you think check the total? I asked this the other day in the drive-thru.
we never check all of it.
There's several. They told me that majority of the people, if someone buys their order, when they pull up to the window and say, "You don't know nothing, the person in front of you's done paid," they'll look at them and say, "Well, how much is the next one?" And they want to know how much it is before they're going to agree to pay the next one. I don't know what the limit is and what they're doing, but they're not paying it forward on just certain cases. Yes, certain circumstance and cases. So we know that the definition of a vow, promise made to God, okay, and our duties to pay it back. If we've made one with him and he's worked his favor, then we're to work ours and pay it back. So we've learned this set example of a vow. Now, what is the difference between that word, vow, and this one? What's the difference in the two?
An agreement.
Well, I thought that's what a vow was. Lord, if you get me out of this, I'll do this for you. I'll give you a 10th. What's the difference in the two? They're both in the Bible, but they're used separately.
God made covenant with Abraham and others.
Hmm.
He made covenant with Abraham and others.
Yeah, he did. So what's the difference in a covenant and a vow? Anybody got a thought? First thing, we said a vow was what?
Promise to God.
A promise to God. A covenant is a binding promise or contract between two or more parties to perform or refrain from specific actions. In other words, a pledge. And establishing relationships, covenants, and conditions. So we know that a promise made to God being a vow, a covenant being a formal, solemn, and binding agreement, promise, or contract between two or more parties. Two or more parties to perform or refrain from specific actions. A very easy example of the separation of this is that you pledge, as the word I'm using in this, that when you join a church, that's one of the first things you do when you join a church, is that you are formal, solemn, and binding promise between two or more parties to perform or refrain from specific actions. When we look at this and then two separate words and two separate meanings tonight, we vow to God. We make a covenant with the church. You see that? We make a vow to God. We make a covenant with the church. We are in covenant with. That means a binding agreement. If we take the one in there on the wall, that is a binding contract agreement that everybody, and this is one of the things that a lot of people don't even always agree on. If your name is on the book, you agree to the covenant on the wall. Is that not right?
Yep.
If you are a member on the book, you agree to that. Now, that is a bound contract that you have said, this is what I'm agreeing to do. I have been in several churches in appointments that people have joined, and the pastor has stopped. And he has went line by line. If anybody's ever seen this, I've seen it. They'll read that covenant line by line and stop at every line and say, "Do you agree to this?" Are you sure you can do this? Are you sure you're going to be able to hold up to this? Right in front of everybody, they do it. And they will not take them in until they answer it either.
That's right.
I've seen it several times in several churches around here. They read that line by line to them and break it down, and they even go over what it means in detail. We've got a lack of the word used. Somebody gave me the definition of the word commitment earlier. I don't know who gave it to me. Somebody gave me the word commitment. Well, if you're committed to something, that means what?
You have to do it.
Yeah. What's behind a commitment?
Promise.
Huh?
The promise.
Yeah, you're promising you're going to do it. There's got to be some effort there somewhere to be attempting to do what you're committed to. And a lot of things come up where that we see a lot of issues. Now, I'll give you some easy examples. Okay. How much commitment do you have to just the church? Not to the Lord or God in a vow. How much commitment do you have just to the church? And I'll give you an example. The Laodiceans, he told them in Revelations 2 and 4 that the reason that they're in the state and condition they were in was because they did what?
Not over up.
No. What did he say? This has happened because you've done something. You've left something.
Thank you, first love.
There you go. You've left. Okay? The indifference, the unconcern, all these things. Lip service is a good one that we hear a lot of. People do a lot of lip service. I heard in Walmart the other night, this woman, I thought she was shouting. And I went over there and she was laughing at something, but then she was inviting everybody to church. And the man asked her, he said, "Was you there last Sunday?" She said, "No, I didn't go." But she did invite him to come. I literally just witnessed that the other day in Walmart. Attend only if it's convenient. Now, let me get this, because I'm talking about commitment here. Only if it's convenient. If the weather's nice. If it's a good weather Sunday, do we have more show up? Huh?
We didn't like something.
Do you have more show up on sunny days or rainy days?
Right.
Think about it. The convenience. I can't go out and do nothing today. We'll go to church. It's raining. Think about it for a minute.
They go fishing, they go.
If company shows up, I love this one. Robert and Roger, I want to give them this scenario. If you have company show up on Sunday at 4:45, what are you going to tell them when it comes time to leave? Get in the car. We'll continue talking on the way there and on the way back. But how many people say, "Oh, I'm not going to make it tonight. I've got company that come over. I'm not going to make it because I got company over." I see that all the time. That's not committed. That's not a commitment. I would love to see people's faces in the hospital when we say, "Ma'am, you need a stent. You've got a blockage. You're having a heart attack." And the surgeon has called and said that as soon as he's done visiting with the company that has come to his house, if you're still alive, he'll come in. I mean, seriously. Now, that's the same commitment level we're talking with the church. I will say we have some surgeons that have that attitude. I have one right now that if you call him during supper, he won't answer. He will call and tell us what time he's going to go eat, and he will not answer till he comes back. He don't care what you've got. He ain't answered it. I'm not joking. There's some doctors that I deal with. Ginger tell you, if you call them in the middle of the night, what will they do?
Well, you have to call the next one on call.
Because you can't get a hold of them. They won't answer. And then when you finally get one to answer, they're highly upset.
Oh, my.
They will eat you alive at 2 a.m. because you got them out of bed. Although they're getting paid to be on call in case you need them. But you ask Ginger, you call them on night shift, honey, it's a war. And it can be over something big or simple. But the commitment level is that they want to be paid to be on call. They just don't want you to call. That's call me if you need me, but try not to need me situation. But look at the commitment side of, I had this one happen one time. I was at a church one time that said that they were going to move their service times because a TV show come on at 7. So they moved service times to 5 instead of 6. So they could get out and be home in time to watch this TV show at 7. Now, when we find that and we see that when we get in there, I thought it was very interesting when I got to looking at vow and covenant, because I then found that when we come into, this was a very good article concerning churches. When we are received into church membership, let's stop right there. So first of all, people need to realize that we are agreeing to allow you to come in. You're not granted access just because you freely jumped up and wanted to join. We have to agree and make a motion in a second to put you under the watch care, pending letter or whatever we're doing, baptism statement, But it's us granting permission and bringing you into the church. Then, as a covenant member here coming in, we're making the promise to the people that we're joining with that when there's a service, we're supposed to be what? There. And encourage and support those who are fellow members and accept duties when called upon to do them, so on and so forth. How many places do you think, and I love this very thing. So I got a job for the deacons, Roger. You'll be glad to know that. But I found this church that it's a missionary Baptist church, and they have an annual deacons visit with every church member. And they're asked 3 questions when they meet with them. But every year they meet with all the church members and they ask 3 questions. And it's all about their faithfulness. Is what it's about. And these deacons do this. So I pulled the questions because at this point I'm excited to see what they're asking these church members. And this doesn't matter if you come to church, if you don't, if your name's on the books and you've never been back, if you come all the time, it don't matter. They ask the same questions and discuss the same 3 things with every person on the roll. Now, this is the first question that they give, is this one right here. Are you still in the faith of the gospel as you declared when you were baptized? That's the first thing they ask. First question. So the real question there is if you're still saying that you believe in not only the power of God, but the reality of Satan himself and the value of the promise, key word there, the promise that the Lord made was what? He promised that he made a way out of hell. All right? Another thing that comes in is that this question always boils up to them. Are you still in the faith as you declared when you were baptized? Do you still believe in what you said you believe in? That's one of the first structured questions they ask. Now remember, every year they do this. They don't do it at one time, but throughout the year they've covered everybody. They check them off. Okay, that's the first question. Here's the next one. Now this is a good one. Are you, as far as you know, in peace and union with the church? That's the next one. And their defining article for this is can you walk hand in hand with anybody in the building? Can you say that there is nobody in the building that you could not easily walk hand in hand with or have a disposition of hate or anything else going on? That's their next question they ask. That's number 2. And then here's the other one that they asked was, will you still labor with the brethren for an increase in holiness, both in yourself and others? The question comes there, are you willing to make the efforts necessary? And maybe we should use the word new efforts, but are you willing to make the efforts necessary to overcome your temptations of what's keeping you away? Are you eager to bring your mind and affections more into conforming with the will of God and pursue more faith, more devoted time to get yourself more into the book, everything else that we are promising and going into agreement with in the church in covenant? And I thought about the fact, now those are the only 3 questions they ask in the room. As I read the article, I thought it was very interesting. It's the only 3 questions. Now, the person in conversation with them, they can talk about anything, but they'll never ask but those 3 questions. That's the only thing they're there to discuss when they ask them. And this is all about them and their faithfulness. Have you ever thought about the fact that people right now I'm talking right now, we've got a war firing missiles everywhere right now on the other side of the world. A doctor friend of mine just came back yesterday from being over there. She was over there visiting some people and was in the middle of it. But can you imagine the fact that there are people right now who, over there that are locked into them shackles and that cell because they answered to somebody and said that they believed in Jesus Christ. They're committed enough that they knew what was going to happen. And they answered when the authorities, whoever, come to them, military, police, whatever, and asked them what they believe, and they answered that they believed in Jesus Christ. They're now hanging by a chain, shackled to a bar. That is a real area right now holding for people right now that are beat, tortured, and imprisoned because they have committed that no matter what the claim is asked of them, they will answer of what they believe. So while we sit here tonight, and while we go on with our life and whatever we do, answering and choosing to answer however, somebody somewhere said how committed they were, and they're locked up for it. There's an article, I think I gave Robert one from a Martyr's book, about a pastor in China. A place you probably wouldn't really think of, but he was a pastor, I think, in China. And the church that he was going to, they done locked him up in jail once for it, for preaching. And so the next time he knew they were coming and told him, if you have church again on Sunday, wasn't it? If you have church again on Sunday, you're going to jail. So what did he do? He had an alternate plan and had his deacon ready to take care of the service. And he was standing down there at the door waiting on the police with his bag packed, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what it said. And when he got to the jail, guess what he done? He preached in the jail while his deacon took care of the church that they were having, because his commitment was that he was going to tell the news. That was his job, was to share the good news no matter where it was at. So because he committedly said, yes, I'm going to go preach on Sunday at the church, and yes, this is what I'm going to preach. They took him to, I don't remember how many times it said he went. It did, but he did go to jail. He even packed his bag, took his Bible with him, and they let him take the Bible into the jail. So all it was God putting him somewhere else for a while and working on some more. But I got to thinking about all that fact that it didn't bother them people. You'll probably right now very unlikely ever be asked if you're going to church on Friday night when you stop somewhere and get gas, or on your way home from work, somebody says, hey, are you going to church tonight? If you said yes, put you in handcuffs, take you over to the jail, and lock your hind end up till court Monday morning when the judge makes a decision. Not going to happen. That question and area is not governed like these other places. The problem we've got is that we've got way too many people in neutral. We have a lot of people right now in neutral. Peter, let's use Peter for a moment. So Peter tells the Lord, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, I'm your number one man. I'm not leaving your side. I don't care where you go. I'm right with you. And what happened? Very shortly.
He denied him.
He denied him. He failed to do it. We don't always keep what we claim that we're going to do. We're humans. We don't always keep that either. And fall short of a commitment that we might have aspired to reach one time. But the fact of it is, it's not, it is either our lack of placing priorities in the proper order. We've got so many commitments right now going on, we can't keep them up. We can't keep them in order, right? And then the next thing that comes is we start putting these priorities in what we think we got to have in the most important order. And we see that coming a lot. One of the things that comes up in Luke, and he tells this in the New Testament, Luke 9:51. One thing that the Lord shows in commitment of what he set out to do is that Luke even records that when the time was come he should be received up, he steadfastly set his face to go to Jerusalem. He already knew what was before him and everything that he did, but the commitment that he had was already there and proven. We don't find him in the belly of a whale getting spit out at the foot of the hill of the hill of bones. We don't find him somewhere else in a foreign area running from God's will. We find him persevering, committed to the cause. Paul said, is there what? Not a cause. The commitment we've got is the big one that we come through in a lot of things. So when people's schedules get so full, this is my thought, when people's schedules get so full and they become so overcommitted with the time that they've got given because they've got all these commitments going on, tell me why the church is the first one they drop.
Not committed.
Okay. But why? Why is the church the first one?
Because
They're
in
not
their
committed.
mind, because we live in a world of instant gratification,
Mhm.
in their mind, that is not helping me right now in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But these other things are.
Mm-hmm. Think about in perspective, and I use this some with some people, and I've even asked them if I know them. But what if you said to so and so, and this is reality now. If you looked at them and says, Okay. Why don't you quit going bowling and come to Bible study? What's their answer going to be?
Most of them say, I was committed for that, for the strike.
Yeah. Or, I know you like to do this hobby. I know you like to fish, and I know the weather's good. Why are you not coming to church? Why that over this? Why have you separated and set this? Why the church over everything else? Think about that word commitment for a moment. Why the church dropped over everything else? Now, the Bible tells me that the church is not dead. The body of Christ is not dead. It also tells me that it cannot be defeated, because he even says that the gates of hell shall not do what?
Prevail against
They will not prevail against it. He told him, Peter, upon this rock, I'm going to build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail again. The one thing that will not fail, that is not dead and alive and well, is the first thing you drop. The first thing you walk away from, or put to the side, or de-escalate in your priorities list, or whatever. Hundreds of Christian schools have opened since COVID. All over the place. Hundreds of Christian schools. Thousands of sermons have been preached. Yet, what they have found is that it's not the fact that we're not giving the opportunities. It's the fact that there is such a lack of commitment to being faithful to their promise. See, I wonder sometimes about people when they see things happen in people's lives. It runs through my mind. I'm going to be real with you for a moment. But now God gives. Job said that he gives and he takes away. And Job said, blessed be the name of the Lord. And now I'm telling you what, I do believe that when you've made a vow to God and you didn't keep your end, he didn't forget it. It also says that God is a righteous judge. Does it not?
Amen.
I do not question one bit in my mind sometimes that he is very good at jerking the chain to get some people's attention. That's pretty good standard of code, as we'll call it. But all these things with commitment comes about very things. So I started, just the root start of when we go to the word commitment tonight, because I like using that, is this very familiar thing. You probably have seen it before. It says, having been led as we believe, that's a we, by the Spirit of God to receive the Lord Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior, and on the profession of our faith, having been baptized in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Here you go. We do when? Now. In the presence of who? God first. And then in this assembly, most solemnly and joyfully enter into covenant with one another as one body in Christ. I've not even put any other part of the covenant in there. Just this. Just that one little section right there. We do now. When does that start?
Now.
Huh?
Okay, now.
Okay. So it's not a situation of you join and you don't come back in 3 Sundays. Is that not what that means?
No.
Or you join and then say, I'll be back. I just don't know when.
I don't think that it's a lack of commitment for most people. I think it is an abundance of ignorance, because
That's included.
and I'm gonna speak for myself, because so I was baptized when I was 21, and I think there's a certain arrogance with people that, you know, I know how to be a good person. I don't need that. I can do this, and I can still be. I'm still smart enough to be a good person.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really think it's a lack of commitment, because in your own mind you are committed. You're committed to helping people. You're
Mhm.
committed to trying to be a good person, and
Mhm.
you think that you don't need. You think in your mind you really do think that you don't need anyone's help. That you're smart enough to do it on your own.
Mhm.
And it's a lot of arrogance and ignorance, and So that question that says, are you still in the faith as when you were baptized? I would have to answer no, because I'm not the same way I was
Mhm.
when I was 21.
Hmm. If you look at um, if you look at a lot of things in people's time with commitment right now, one of the very things that Hebrews reminds us in Hebrews chapter 12 is that we're to lay aside every weight and what else?
Sin.
That easily besets us. And let us run with patience the race that is set before us. Priorities is everything. Now,
I think they go start getting back into the world, friends,
influence.
you know,
Yeah.
and people, you know, the people they hang around with are
Mhm.
friendly with. I don't say hang it.
Yeah.
Kids.
Yeah.
But I think that's sometimes it's what happens to some of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they think, well, it ain't gonna hurt me to miss church this Sunday. I'm gonna go fishing with my buddy.
Mm-hmm.
But my mindset was I didn't hang around with drug addicts. I didn't hang out with alcoholics. I didn't spend my time with people like that. I spent my at 21. I had a 3-year-old child. I spent my time with other mothers who were dedicated to their child, and you know they were older than me, so you know I thought that they were good examples.
You think maybe they don't see any harm in it because church is supposed to be forgiving, and if they miss, there's other people there that can take care of things until they come back.
Could be a mindset. There are some areas of what I say we see in current developing day and times, that there are some different things and habits that are destructive that people don't even realize, that come from things like this. And it really happens back to the root of a vow. We're vowing to God to get us out of something because we're in the middle of a crisis, backed into a corner. Well, that's also one of the destructive habits in our lives that brings us into problems. And there's some different things. One of the things that people don't do well with, and I don't see a lot of anymore, is spiritual discipline. You can be strong. Now, think about this. You can be strong in the spirit if you feed your flesh. You can't be strong in the spirit if you're feeding your flesh more than your spirit. That's the first thing. People that only prays when there's a crisis, only reads their Bible when they feel spiritual or churchy, as we'll call it. They only worship when their favorite song comes on the radio. All these things. Well, the interesting part is in Psalm 63, David said that he sought God early. He did not wait for inspiration to do it. He did not wait for another time to be tempted to do something else. Most Christians that are strong is not because of anything about life being easy. It's because they have refused to skip the basics. They have refused to skip their commitment. But what happens is church is just like the gym membership that people never use. People say, New Year's resolution, I'm going to the gym. I'm going to lose some weight. They go to the gym, they pay their fees, they go a time or two, and then what? They don't go back, but they pay it. It's the same thing. They never use it. There is potential, if they go to the gym, that they would lose the weight, but they see no results out of that whatsoever. And that's what inconsistency is doing with people in the church. You do not drift into being spiritually strong. That's the first thing we got to learn. There ain't nobody getting spiritually strong by drifting into it. You practice it. You grow into it. The more intentional you become, the stronger you get. A bodybuilder gets strong because he is routinely committed. How many bodybuilders do you know that just hit the gym every once in a blue moon and never go back? No. They are strict on their routine, their exercise, everything. They are committed 100% on everything that they do. One of the other ones that the devil's got us on real good right now, that's one of the most quiet weapons that the devil has, is that if he drains you, he can defeat you. Okay? He's got to get you down there and discourage you real good, because once he gets you vulnerable, now he's got you into the trap. And if you stay down long enough with whatever in your mind distracting you from the truth, then you'll stop expecting, you'll stop fighting, you'll stop doing all these things. And one of the interesting one is that Elijah. Okay, Elijah called down the fire from heaven. And in the very next part of Elijah, what is he doing? He's in a cave, hiding, begging God to end his life. Is he not? He was just on calling the fire down from heaven, and the next thing I know, he's now asking God to end his life, and he's hiding in a cave. What happened? What happened to him? What put him in the cave? What happened? Anybody know the reason why? Look that up sometime. But we allow things to settle. We allow things to discourage us. And then as it does, you turn a warrior, W-A-R, into a worrier, W-O-R. That's what happens. The warrior becomes a worrier. W-A-R goes to a W-O. And then when Elijah got discouraged, God didn't rebuke him. If you remember, when he's in the cave, he didn't rebuke him. What did he do? What did God do to him? He wanted him to come and end his life while he hid in the cave. And what did God do to him? He did. And what else did he do to him?
Come by fire, come by wind.
Mm-hmm. If you read right past that part that we know, you'll find then that God fed him and restored him. Right there, he fed him and restored him. All through discouragement, we've got it in our heads, this belief, this thought, whatever's locked in our minds that we get to there. Another problem that we've got, this is a commitment issue and priority issue, is when we get into people letting sin weaken them just like a leak in a boat. It may not sink immediately, but it will sink eventually. And some Christians are not weak because they lack potential. It's because they're tolerating sin and it's slowly draining them. The sin leak they've got in their boat is sinking them slowly. Samson didn't lose his strength because Delilah was strong. He lost it because he played with temptation long enough to become numb to danger. And when you entertain sin, it gets you. What happened to Samson?
They blinded him.
Huh?
They blinded him.
Yeah. So it's so easy to see some of the actual things and habits that are creeping into us and we are letting go on that has affected some of our commitment. Now, 1 Corinthians 15:33 tells you to be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners. Do you know why most believers are weak? Simple answer. You know why most people today are so weak? Because they stay in spiritually cold places. That's where they dwell. They surround themselves with it, and they stay there. The atmospheres, their influences, the people they're around. Bad company, listen, bad company will definitely corrupt good things. Bad company will. If the people around you are always negative, sinful, cynical, then guess what happens to your fire? You'll be latching right onto it just like everything else. That's what happens. You can't walk in fire and live in the ice. It won't work. You just can't do this. You can't get anywhere. And you think about your environment and how much it affects you, because your surroundings always shape who you become. The voices you're listening to shape what you think, and then everything you watch shapes what you desire, and who you spend time with is what models your spiritual temperature. Who you're spending your time with, that's modeling a lot of your spiritual temperature. We get into the problem of what happens with us is that the weakness is coming because we're sitting in spiritually cold, dark places. That is exactly what puts us in these areas. So we look at a vow. We're making vows to God. He's not forgetting it. And He will recall. Our job's not to make a vow we're not going to pay. And then next comes the covenant, our committed level to the church, our covenant that we have made with the body of Christ and those believers. And we find all through the Bible how that commitment is everything. Everything we do, everywhere we go, whatever we do, everything is based off of how much commitment we have. If you based some things right now in your life off of the commitment level that people have, how much would get done? You think about that for a moment. Just think about it. If Steve, and I'll use this example, he's not here so he can be in the track, but Steve comes into church Sunday morning and say, well, boys, I don't think nothing about preaching. I've been busy all week. I've been busy all week long. I've run the roads. We went to Pigeon Forge. We've been to the flea market. I have been so busy that I just never thought. I thought for sure somebody'd do something when we got here. That's what is happening in the church. I've been busy this week. I'm not going to worry about doing anything tomorrow in the service. Or I'm so tired from everything I've done this week. I'm so tired from all the stuff that I prioritized, I'm just not going to go tomorrow. See that commitment problem? The loop, the weakness right there? That's where our issue's at. And then when we come into the church house not ready and not willing, where's our vow? Where's our vow that we make to God? That we would serve Him under all due times. We would serve Him to the end, no matter what our circumstances in life is, no matter what our trials are. We're going to serve Him. You think about the fact that our commitment level is showing very, very abundantly in this day and time right now because there's no commitment from people seeing that. Some of it I feel like is because they're not obligated to. I know back in the day, if you didn't come to church, you had a couple times and they showed up. You answered to them why you was not there. If it wasn't excusable, they took action. They took action on you because you did not keep to your covenant of what you said you were going to do. How many people would deal with that today? We went and knocked on some doors of some people we've not seen. There are people right now, and I'll use Christy and Karen as an example. I can give them the church directory list, not that's on the app, but the actual membership list. And there's no members inactive on that list. They will never be able to tell me who they are. Although Karen knows everybody, they'll never be able to tell me who that. Never seen it, never heard of it. That's on that list. No, Roger, there's some on there. He's asked me. He don't know. There's names on there. I'm not sure who it is. If we went and knocked on their door and said, the covenant's not changed that you agreed to. We've kept the same covenant. We haven't seen you, and we want to ask you these 3 questions. We're going to ask you these 3 questions. The whole point in those 3 questions from them deacons was for them to see the need to renew their faithfulness in the covenant with the church and their life. The need for them to see and know where they stood, and the need for them to have a covenant and where they were at in their life. Because too many people have isolated away from that to a comfort zone of where we're at now. If church holds after a certain time, what does people do?
Get restless.
Priorities. Where's their commitment? If you say
Some
we're
of
going,
us have some blood sugar problems, okay?
yes, you see.
And it will drop.
But you think about it. If service lasts 3 hours, some people won't be back tonight. If you have a 3-hour church service in the morning, they will not be back. That's all they could handle. Their body is overcapacitated.
Right,
They just have a
any more
15
than
minutes,
otherwise,
some
they
of
will
them
take
Huh?
They just have
15 minutes.
Some of them won't be.
Yeah. I won't make it back tonight. I've got to go get this done. I got work tomorrow.
Yeah.
All these priorities and commitments that they've entailed themselves to has entangled them, and then they've got them in another order. And then it always brings me back to the question of, and I have asked people several times of, Why is that in front of the church? Why have you placed that in place of being where you've went into covenant to be at? Tell me a justified reason why that is excusable. Why is that okay? Because you know the minute that they have a car wreck, the minute that they get a cancer diagnosis, the minute that something comes up that they cannot handle, what are they going to do? They'll blow the splinters off the door frame coming in here and saying, God, if you'll do this, if you'll just do this one time for me. What do they say then? What do they say then? And God works on a different measurable scale than what we probably would deal with people, because some of us don't have as much compassion and mercy on people as He does. But He does not forget it.
No.
That's something to remember. He does not forget. And because of that, I always say this, whatever you agree to, whatever you vow, Lord, if you do this for me, I'll do this. Don't be eating crow a little bit down the road and be sitting there having to chew crow because now it's not quite what you were really willing to do and you're not holding to your word. I wouldn't want to have to answer to God on something I gave the vow to earlier and now I'm not keeping my end of the deal. I don't think I'd want Him to be the one making the call of how that's going to work out. Anybody else got anything tonight?
Reason why a lot of these non-denominational growing so big, because they ain't no bylaws, ain't no nothing. They don't, like I say, they just meet there and kind of worship the Lord, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
And you come, and you don't make no commitments. It's there,
Mm-hmm.
and they're so big now, like I say, you don't show up, you're not big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they won't know it. Too many days. That's true. There is no church membership either.
No, they ain't no church. So they ain't obligated.
I don't think they have a covenant. The ones I've looked at, I don't think they even have a covenant. Anybody else got anything tonight?
Then what is your reason? What are you held accountable to?
They don't have anything. Now, they probably have a set of standard beliefs. Most of them have some type of standard beliefs that they go by and hold to.
Listen, I'm a teacher, and I'm going to tell you that whole intrinsic motivation thing, that is few and far between.
Yeah.
So
You got to think for a moment. How many people are sitting in churches? They don't even know what the church believes they belong to. That's number one. How many sit in this church that does not know what the doctrine is? Roger's laughing. Sharon says she don't know. Ask Roger; he'll tell you. But think about that. I mean, there's a lot of things that everybody has agreed to and bound to, and it's in our doctrine here as other churches that come right down to foundational guidelines that we hold to. And at any time, this is one of the interesting things and why I think about this. At next business meeting, any member in good standing can come in here and bring charges on another member. Any member. Can they not do that? They can. They can come before the church and say, I'm bringing charges before this person, and here's why. And when they do that, the church has to hold the ground to the covenant, to the bylaws, articles, everything of how to reconcile the situation. We have excluded people from the role here. We have removed people from the role here. We have not accepted members in without requiring them to be baptized. We've done that, Ginger. Don't make that face. Was the water warm?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, I mean, just seriously think about it, though. Robert could walk in the next business meeting and want to bring charges on somebody because of whatever. He can do that. As a good member of good standing, active attendance, he can bring that. That can happen. Somebody could easily walk in. There's churches around us right now that it's going on. It is going on a lot. And
Examples.
Huh?
Examples. Why don't you bring them?
Well, churches that don't do like we do, that what I'll call keep an active list of who's actively attending. If you're not coming, they just take you off completely.
I mean, about bringing charges. It's-
Bringing charges, the deacons go to your house. They show up at your house, knock on your door.
Get that.
If a deacon ain't in the church in a period of time, I know some churches around here, if a deacon has missed their church that they're ordained under, if they have not attended that church in a period of time, they come and ask for the papers. You're turning them back in. You're no longer ordained. You're turning them back in. Because that's not acceptable to be a deacon of a church and not attend. And I know several that have went and asked for their papers for that very reason, because of not attending the church. Huh?
They miss 3 times.
I don't know how many times, but a period of time that they went and asked for their papers. There's several instances, charges against a man that divorced his wife and was going to marry another woman. But a church member stood up and made charges against him. They went and met with him, and he decided he was going to marry somebody else, so they took his papers. They took them.
Well, could I come before the council and make a complaint that somebody called me grouchy?
Sure.
You're not talking about ours.
We'll hear your claim. We'll hear your claim.
Well, that is an opinion
But-
and not a fact, so.
Oh no, they might have been witnesses to that one. But you see where we're going down this line of this is why the churches are getting more defined in who's committed. That's also who's now getting to be the decision makers. It's not a body of just anybody on the books, because commitment is telling everything. Commitment is saying it all. I've had a lot of people. Roger Gibbons is in here tonight, and he will tell you, because this happened to him. He had a pastor get mad at him, flaming mad, because people were coming and asking him, was it to pray for him or go visit him? Which one?
I went to visit him. They
Yeah.
called me at night. I went and
They
prayed
call
for
him at night and ask him to come to their house and pray with them. Was it the pastor got mad?
Yep.
Got very upset with him. Yeah, happened, didn't it?
What I tell him.
Tell him what you told him.
I said, the Lord wants me to go. If they got confidence in me,
Yeah.
want me to come, I'm going.
Sure.
Period.
Sure.
That's what I told him.
Yeah. I have no
That's
problem
what
with
I'm
that.
supposed to do.
Yep.
Or anybody can be.
Yep. But see what the level of commitment comes, people see that. They know it. They don't call on the spiritual weakness areas that people are living in and staying in, and the things that people are living in and staying in. They don't call on that. The vow to God, the commitment, and the covenant with the church is showing itself very, very good. I'm going to say this. We're getting to the time that revivals aren't being effective. I'm seeing it all over the place. There's a lot of people online even posting about it, that revivals are now to the point they're not being effective. You know why? People have figured out that if 1 week gets everybody on fire because they had to cancel all their plans, prioritize coming to church every night, and that put them on fire, they all know that when it ends, they're going back to what they were doing before. They're all going to go back to the same thing they did before revival. And now it's becoming ineffective because it's not a lifelong habit. It's not a change habit. It's not taking people and reviving them unto the 3 questions the deacons are asking them about renewing their covenant of faithfulness back to the church and back to God. You hear people say they want to renew their vows. People that's been married for however long, they want to renew their vows. Sharon don't want to do that. But you hear people say, we're going to have a ceremony and we're going to renew our vows. Well, okay.
You didn't ask me this time.
What happens? I just thought about that though. What happens when you renew your vows? Are you like getting the dust off some things you promised you was going to do? Are you going to start acting right and do things like you're supposed to be doing? What does that mean to renew your vow? Okay, there's a lot of churches that use the verbiage terminology of people come to the altar and they rededicate their life. Heard that? They come and rededicate their life to Christ. What does that mean? I've seen them many times. They come up off the altar and say, I've rededicated my life. I've heard it testified in this church.
Does that mean they went back out to the world? Or
Whatever they've done, then they've came back and
They messed up and feel real bad about it.
they done something, and they came back and rededicated. And all of that circles around one thing. What is it? Commitment. Every bit of that action is all circling around commitment. See, the funny thing I always find is that God's always there. No matter if you need him or not, want him or not, use him or not, talk to him or not, do anything, God is always there. He's a spare tire to a lot of people. A lot of people, he's a spare tire. And the second problem we've got in that lack of commitment is he still remembers all the other vows you've done made, asking for bargains in times of need and crisis and healing and miracles and everything else. He doesn't remembers all of those. And here's another one come back up. Oh, in my mind, I make it like a TV show. We'll let Roger Cook be the player of just saying, God says, oh, you're back again. Just like a doctor does when they come back. Oh, he's back again. You know, instead of looking at things as they are and how they are in 2026, things being different with society. A lot of people have lost the feeling of a need to be in a church because they say that they can worship God at home. They can worship God by themselves. They can read the Bible and they can listen to the preaching live online just the same as they can.
I can pull a living on my phone.
And what? 24/7? You can find some somewhere. Yeah.
Watch more hours than 2 hours I spend on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that has created a comfortable seat that now you can listen to your pastor while you're driving to the flea market or while you're driving down to wherever to do whatever on Sunday. But you're not going to be in the house. That's a big thing coming. There's churches that right now in our area, I had a friend the other day told me they were going to stop streaming because of that problem. There's too many staying at the house, not coming. They'll sit at the house and watch it and they'll do what they want. So they're going to quit. They're going to quit streaming. There's 2 other churches in this area that have decided they're no longer going to keep people on the phone call system if they're not coming. The only way they'll know what's going on in the church is when they get there. They have actually stopped sending calls out to people that are not attending. And they're pretty strict about holding the bar. Because
they're getting you for I'm there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So and you say, and this is what my thought of you say, why is the church like that? Why is the church being like that? Well, what are we protecting? That's my first question too. What are we protecting? Because the first thought in my mind is, and this is me thinking, is that would you really want a preacher having to get in the pulpit with lost people in the church and it looks like you're at a ball game? I mean, that's how worldly the people are that you're dealing with, that you've got yourself so far into the world that they're sitting here and this is what you're dealing with. Do you want to protect the place that people are coming in? Now, there's people in the building going to hell right now. Now, that's how severe this is. There's people in our church building right now going to hell. The only chance they've got in getting out of that is that they hear the gospel. If the gospel is hidden, it is hidden to them that are lost. So no wonder that it's our job as a church to keep it straight and keep it within the bounds of the book. But at the same time, no wonder that there is a desire to want all the parts of the moving body in the covenant that we go by, to keep it within the covenant lines that we go by. Because if we can't keep our own within the confounds, as they call it, and what we're doing and how we're living, how do we expect to ever influence a person of the need to change? I've said that all along. It's not about eating donuts in the lobby and popcorn, or whatever they choose to do. That's not it. The problem I've got is when you have shifted it to them, and now they don't see no difference between what they know and what I know. So when we look at our commitments tonight and how committed are we, it's not even really, I'm not even going to push it to say it's church attendance. We should be here when the doors are open if we're a member, because I've always heard visitor welcome and members are expected. You ever heard that before? Yeah. Yeah, that's because you are in agreement. You solemnly and joyfully agreed to that you would do that. You're under a commitment covenant to that. But it's not even as much the church attendance that I'm worried about. I'm more worried about the fact of life attendance with the Lord Monday through Saturday, that when you come back in the building, we're ready and we can move and we can go to where that we're not so gambled up in life with our priorities out of order that when I come in here, all I can think about is, what did I do with that pizza last night that I fell asleep with eating? What did I do with what in the world did I do with the tax bill? I haven't paid my property tax. It's due in 3 days. What did I do? That's what people are doing, sitting right now on the pew in the church house while Steve's preaching. That's what they're doing. Yeah. That's their commitment. You guaranteed they're going to have their mind settled on food and where they're going. I can't tell you nothing else. The commitment problem's there. It's real. It's bad. Anybody else got anything tonight?
What about these people that get out of church and they know that you go to church on a regular basis and they'll say, oh, what's going on at church now? They want to know what's going on, but they don't want to come see for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
We had a pastor one time, he said, somebody asked you what went on in church, I said, tell them they are been there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Roger did that to a whole big group of people in the church. I know. He got up and opened up the service, and he asked everybody that's getting ready to sing page number
6.
whatever it was. Said,
I want to know more about my Lord.
Yes.
Want to know more about heaven.
yes. And you asked him that.
And then I said, raise your hand. You know, and they did. I said, where were you at Sunday school? I did.
I'm getting ready to come in.
I mean, they love the Lord. They want to know more.
But where was you at an hour ago?
I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
plain simple.
Steve has said it here, and he's even pushed it, even in revivals, different times. I've heard him really put a push on the fact of, and we see it, of people not making the effort to come during a revival or other times and get their kids here. The commitment should be the same all the time. It shouldn't be revival or regular church. It shouldn't be any separation. But I've heard him even say about the need of people needing to prioritize of getting to the church and being in this revival that the church is in, but also to get their kids in here to get them saved. And that's all back to commitment. It's all back to commitment.
Just like I say, everybody, if you tell that, the first person you tell that to say, oh, you're on works now, aren't you?
Mhm. Yeah.
Kind of work your way in.
Yeah. Mhm.
Just being committed is somehow they turn it into
Works. Yeah. All day long.
You was talking about it, paid it forward, going through the drive-thru too. The one experience I had one time, a little girl behind me, I knew who she was, so I just went ahead and paid for hers. Well, whatever I got, I had to stop and fix it or whatever. And she pulled it aside of me. She said, I said, I didn't know who you were. She said, I didn't know the vehicle. And all she got was a sweet tea. She said, so you paid for mine, I paid for the car behind me. She said, theirs was $11.
Yeah. Yeah. And you see, like people do all the time when they say, well, you keep it going, you know, all the prayer chains. That's the one we see a lot of, where you keep it going. All these different things. The commitment comes in all forms and fashions and ways. But my biggest identifying problem right now with what we've got going on is people don't even understand that the vows they're making to God, they're responsible for to be paid. He's not forgetting them. And then the covenant that they are now holding with the church, they're responsible for. And the church is responsible for them. You know that? If we've got people out astray, not coming to the church as members under the covenant, then we're responsible for them people, not what they're doing, but the fact that they're not here in some form or fashion, whether that be that you reach them, contact them, whatever that may be. And that's what the whole thing of this deacon thing that they did with their 3 questions is they every year, all members are asked those 3 questions, discuss this.
Better to not make a vow than to make it not keep it.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right. Anybody else got anything tonight?